All right, so I have a lot of new students who have small accounts. Whether you start with 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, or like my top student Tim Gratani, who started with 1,500, but his parents also loaned him 11,500. So technically, he started with 13,000 in his trading accounts, even though he started with just 1,500 of his own money and grew that into a million in less than 3 years. I started with 12,000. The key question is, how do you grow a small account? So, I have 1,400 plus videos showing the patterns, showing the stocks, some level two, some live trades. But, I need to go into more detail about how do you actually position size and, really maximize your small account. So this is a chart of GNIN over the past 100 days. Actually, let me scroll out to 200 days, just so you can see that it's gone pretty much straight down. This was a pump and dump. So a lot of people say penny stocks are random and they're dangerous, and they are if you're blind and deaf and you can't see the signs. This was pumped very nicely from 50 cents up to the twos here. It's actually higher. They did a split later. But you could have made 5 times your money on the way up here, and it would have taken you, this was in the beginning of last year, roughly a month to make 5 times your money. That's decent, but holding a pump and dump for a month is very scary. I don't recommend that. I shorted this top. There's actually a live trade of me shorting this, which I made like 5,000 in a few minutes. But I also bet big. So it's tough to short these stocks and bet big when you have a small account. So what I really recommend for small account people, not necessarily people with big accounts, is to buy on the dip, an extreme dip. And this went all the way from 250 down to the 30s and then back up to 180. So this bounce, from the lows on 222.13 to 312, I mean, this is still 3 weeks, but you can make 6 times your money on the bounce. And forget about that. Let me zoom in more so you can see. This was the quick bounce here. What about this one? Another one where it drops from 145 down to basically 61 cents, and then it doubles. So picture this like a bouncing ball, and it's petering out. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't touch it in here. You want to trade stocks when they're volatile, okay? You never know exactly where the bounce will happen, but I wouldn't just buy it randomly. Like when a stock is free falling from 270 and you see it down to 1, you're like, oh, let me buy the bounce, and then it goes to 30 cents. Wait for some green. Wait for some kind of floor. That's a huge thing for buying the bounce, and a lot of people don't wait. You don't have to trade. I know this is tough to think, especially when you have a small account and you're rearing to really get going. You don't have to trade. Let the stocks come to you. You don't know if it's definitely going to bounce, but if it starts to bounce, then go for it. Try it. This would have been a nice bounce. This bounce was kind of weak. This bounce was decent, and then there's nothing else I would have done this entire time. I would have ignored it. Too many people with small accounts fall in love with a story. They say, oh, it might come back. Sure, it might, but wait for news. So this morning, I gave a webinar to my Trading Challenge students, and this stock, for the past month was pretty much doing nothing here at 8 or 9 cents a share. It was right at the breakout point at 9 cents, and I think right before the market opened, I said, watch GNIN. It might spike a little to like 10 or 11 or 12 because they won a contract with super value grocery stores. And this is actually a big win for this company because, this is a blatant pump. And you don't think that the company has any real products, but guess what? Today it was a very good buy. For the first few minutes, it didn't really do anything. For the first 5 minutes, no one was really sure if this pump was, real, if it was going to come back. And sure enough, I mean, it went from, you could have had it at 10 cents even if you were slow, and here it's at 13.5. So I know 10 cents to 13.5 cents doesn't sound like a lot, but if you can make 35% on your money in 2 hours, you take it. So let's just play, what if? Because I know some of my Trading Challenge students who were on the webinar, took me up on this trade. One guy made 1,000, one guy made like 6,000, but they bet a little bigger. So pretend you just have $2,000 in your account and you see the stock, it's all the way down. You see the contract because, let's say, pretend that you've watched all my video lessons, that you've become an annual subscriber. You've taken advantage of my 50% off sale, which is ending in 3 days. Let's just pretend that you did that and that you didn't miss the sale, and then you're going to whine, later in the month, as I know so many of you are. But pretend that you are an annual student and you're watching all my video lessons and you know that you want to buy contract winners. Yes, it's a little weird to buy, a blatant pump, but technically it's still a contract winner and the price is right. So let's say you have $2,000 in your account and you see the stock at 10 cents. I never really suggest going all in because you don't know what's going to happen. But when you have $2,000 in your account, the pros will say invest in like Google or a mutual fund, and maybe at the end of the year, your 2,000 will have grown into like 2,400 if you make 20%, which is a fantastic annual return to quote most experts. I could care less about $400 over the course of the year. What are we making, $1 a day? What are we, a freaking Starbucks barista in a third world country? No, you need to focus on growing your account exponentially. And I know that I've made a lot of haters in the finance industry for suggesting that is possible, but now as my top students do this, I got to give a special shout out to Azimjan, who is from Tajikistan, and I always messed up his country name, so I'm sorry about that, Azimjan, but he has turned 2,200 into 130,000 on Profitly. And I got to write a whole follow-up article. I haven't even had time doing all this press and all the new students, but it is possible to grow it exponentially. And what Azimjan, he might have taken this trade. I don't even know because this just happened today. But buy this at 10 cents a share when you see a little bit of volume. Here, you can't really see, but you can see a little bit of volume, okay? The worst case that you can, conceive of, where is it coming from? If you buy it at 10 cents, worst case it goes down to like 9 cents. You lose a penny a share. But if you have $2,000 to your name, let's just say that you buy 1,000 shares, okay? 1,000 shares at 10 cents. So you're risking, or not 1,000 shares, my bad, 10,000 shares at 10 cents. So you're risking $1,000. I'm not that great at math. So you're risking half your account. That's bold, okay, to risk half your money. But if you want to do bold things, you have to be bold. So I don't mind people who bet $1,000 when they have $2,000 in their account. You might lose it. You do have to understand the risks, but also understand that, whether you have 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or even 5 or 10,000 in life, you can't buy that much stuff. So you don't need to be so afraid of losing, 1,000 or $2. Especially if you're young, you can fall back on mommy and daddy. You can borrow from friends unless you're like a terrible person. Do part-time jobs like, shovel snow, help people carry groceries, go beg on the street. There's so many different ways to make a few $100s here and there in this world. But to really grow your account, like none of those activities are scalable. I would not recommend shoveling snow or a paper route all your life because that might be good to get you started, but you can't work enough paper shifts to make $1 million in 3 years. With my strategy, you can. So let's pretend that you bought 10,000 shares at 10 cents, right? You're watching it, you're seeing it at like 11. Let me go to the intraday. So the news is kind of catching fire. So now here you are up a penny. Okay, so you can either take your $100, which is, pretty good, but not life-changing. Or you can say, you know what? My risk was a penny a share. So why am I only going to try and make a penny a share if I was risking a penny a share? And in this hypothetical example, you are an annual subscriber. You've taken advantage of the sale. You've watched a ton of my video lessons. So you know that you want good risk reward. You want more upside. So if you're going to risk losing a penny a share, no matter what your position size is, you want more upside. So if I'm buying this stock with a small account at 10 cents and putting half my money in, I want it to go up maybe 3 or even 4 cents a share. And with this kind of news that GNIN has, that's possible. As it turns out, I didn't even expect it to go up to the 13s or 14s. I probably would have sold at 13 or 12. But that's me playing it safe. I usually play it safe, as you saw with MEDL and YOD, which keeps going. YOD keeps running out. But in this example, let's say here you see it at 11 cents. You're up a penny. You're up a penny. Right here, it goes to 13 cents. At this point, you need to lock in profits. Okay? I don't care. It could go to 15. It could go to 17. It could go to 20 cents. Okay? But you can't look back and say, what if? You got in for a specific goal. Okay? If you follow my video lessons and you follow my strategy, you want a 3-to-1 risk reward. So if you're risking losing 1 cent a share, then your goal is to make 3 or 4 cents a share. When you get to 3 cents a share profit right here at 11:23 in the morning, so in an hour and a half, you have now made 30% on your money, where conventional finance is all about making 20% per year. You get out, okay? You get out right here at 13 cents. You don't even wait. You don't feel bad when it goes to 14. You don't feel bad when it's at 13.6. You make your 30% and you go, okay? If you buy 10,000 shares at 10 cents, and mind you, this isn't perfect. You probably could have gotten like 9.5 cents, but let's just say you got in at 10 cents, 10,000 shares. You sell those 10,000 shares at 13. You've made 3 cents a share, or $300, okay? So that's a nice 30% gain on your whole account, on your position, but it's also a 15% gain on your whole account in an hour and a half. And this was doable. This was predictable. I always say buy earnings winners and contract winners. I specifically said this during my live trading challenge webinar today. Some of my students took us up on it, but a lot of you guys just don't understand that you can bet bigger when there's limited risk. Betting half your account on a stock sounds crazy. And if you ask 99,000 out of 99,001 financial advisors, they're going to say betting 50% is too much. But they don't understand how to grow an account, a small account, and I do. That's what it comes down to. So you got to take risks, but you can make 30% on your money in an hour and a half, as several of my challenge students did. And by the time the webinar was over, they were not up nicely. And you could have easily bought 10,000 shares. You could have bought 50,000 shares. But I'm just giving you an example if you had a small account. So you make $300 in an hour and a half. And that might not sound like a lot, but it grows your account, A, which is important because you need to be able to bet bigger. Forget about just being richer. You can't make $50,000 in a day with a $2,000 account. When I'm making $50,000 in a day like I did last week, is because I've grown my account. So step one, you have to focus on growing your account, getting yourself into a position where you can make $50,000 in a day. And that means growing from $2,000 to $2,300. Maybe on the next trade you get to $2,500. Maybe you mess up on the next trade, you get to $2,400. And the next trade you do really well, you get to $3,000. It's like Candyland, okay? What if GNIN didn't spike? What if it was just hanging here at 10 cents or 9 cents and you get out because it didn't do what you wanted? But in this case, it did exactly what I predicted, even better than what I predicted was going to happen. And you can make 30% on your money. Now you rinse and repeat this kind of an exact trade. All it takes is an hour and a half here, an hour there. Sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes 2 days. But if you can make 10, 20, 30% on every single trade, or most trades, I win 72% of the time. Tim Grittani wins 72% of the time. My first millionaire student, Michael Good, wins 65% of the time. If you can win more than you lose, and you cut your losses quickly when you're wrong, if GNIN hadn't broken out, and let's say you're just wrong, you're in at 10, and then later in the day it's like at 9.5, and you say, you know what, it didn't do what I want, I'm not going to hope for it, I'm cutting my losses. That's what you need to do, because this is your whole goal. Try to make 30%, then get out, take it. Sometimes, the gain is going to be, maybe you think it's an amazing stock and you think you can make 50%. That's fine. Have a target. Once you get close enough, realize that, if this is your account with $2,000, it doesn't matter if you make 300 on this or 400 or even 200. You're growing your account. You're seeing how to aim small and miss small like a sniper, and you do that over and over again. And trust me, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can really grow your account exponentially. People don't believe it, but as more and more of my trading challenge students use this, like Azam John, 2,200 into 130,000 in a year, the gains add up. And then you start taking bigger positions. So I could have bought 20,000 shares or 50,000 shares and still make 30%. You will become a millionaire this way. Thank you.